I'm your host, and I was working out together with me in the studio is my friend whom I haven't seen like in 2 weeks. Noah Japao, how have you been?
Good evening, Doc. I've been fine. How have you been?
I've been fine. Too many things to do. I went to visit my relatives in Mansa.
Okay. You've been missing for 2 weeks.
Yes, I know I'm the only one who can tease Bembas coming from the southwest. So I am I'm not to Kunchpaya. I'm just a villager, not from Wenga, but from Chirundu and from Sioma. Today we have a very wonderful topic, and finally we have managed to land this guest. We have been courting her for almost a year now. We'll keep you in suspense, although I know that on the screen it has been already, the secret is already known. But we'll leave you a bit in suspense for those that can't read. You can watch us on, of course, DSTV. You can watch us on Topstar. You can also watch us on Facebook, on our Facebook page. You can also tell your relatives that are abroad to watch us on YouTube, because we are also live on the same YouTube. As per tradition, before we start discussing today's topic, by the way, we are going to be opening the phone lines. So as per tradition, we first want to check what are the dynamics on the money market, capital markets, and just on the commodities market. Noah, what's happening in the markets?
Thank you, Doc. The market update as of today, the 30th of March, the kwacha against the four major currencies. The dollar closed selling at 21 kwacha, 42 ngwe. The pound closed off selling at 26 kwacha, 56 ngwe. The euro closed off selling at 23 kwacha, 31 ngwe. The rand closed off selling at 1 kwacha, 20 ngwe. Selected metal prices delayed by a day. Aluminium closed selling at $2,366 per ton. Copper closed selling at $9,052 per ton. Zinc closed off selling at $3,035. Lead closed off selling at $2,182. Tin closed off selling at $26,100. Nickel closed off selling at $24,200. Crude oil prices, WTI crude closed selling at $74.12. Brent crude closed selling at $79.09. That's all we had for you on the market update.
We've seen that, when I was in Mansa, I left the exchange rate at 19 point something. Now it's at 21.4. What is happening?
Well, there are a couple of reasons why that might be so. One of them, of course, is the new development on the market. Yes, the most important is the confidence. The confidence in the kwacha, the stalling IMF...
the Champions League is gone?
The stalling IMF discussions, the discussions that have been going on, and also the confidence in people or in our kwacha seems to no longer be there. The market sentiments are not favorable, and as well as the reserve ratio. Bank of Zambia is holding a lot of money right now.
So to help us discuss this and other topics, today in the studios we have the future president of the Republic of Zambia. This person runs a non-confrontational political party. At least we don't know that this party has cadres that beat people. This is the president of the New Heritage Party, Madam CHISHALA KATEKA. She has a very rich CV. As we go on, we are going to tell you about that CV. But ladies and gentlemen, viewers, brethren, and just people of the Republic, you can join us in today's discussion by calling, but first give us a bit 10 minutes. Our discussions are always informal, you know that, but for you to benefit, you can call in, and you can ask a question to our president. You can also, contribute in any way. Madam, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for inviting me.
1 year now, I've been trying to get you.
But I'm here.
You are here. We can see that you are looking good.
Thank you.
In the Champions League.
I was expecting 3 months ago, because you started talking about her, a while back. No, we need to have her. We need to have her. No, you're finally here. You're welcome.
It's a pleasure having you.
Thank you.
First thing first, as per tradition, who is CHISHALA KATEKA?
I'm a Zambian, very passionate Zambian who has been quite disappointed in the way that this nation, where we are as a nation, when we've got so much potential. This is such a happening country. So as a result of that, I got tired of watching others trying to lead this country into prosperity. And finally I said, you know what, I'm going to jump into the arena and see what can be done.
Maybe if looking at Zambia from your perspective, a lot of millennials in the country now, I think I'm getting old. I was looking at my beard. It's so white. I don't know whether it's pressure or it's the age. Many people don't know where we are coming from. From a person with a very rich CV, especially in the corporate world, where do you think we are coming from, and where do you think, before we say where we are going, where are we now? In terms of, first we start with not democracy, let's start with maybe economic development.
How far back do you want me to go?
Maybe we go, let's, we start with Kaunda's period.
All right, so we've got Twarika Pitamo. We've gone through quite a lot, not just with the Kaunda's time, but right through. So we got our independence in '64, as you know, with our economy, which was extremely, extremely strong. In fact, our currency was stronger than the British pound at the time. And everything was like, wow, independence, that political party brought us political independence, and we saw that after some time, things started to go wrong. And we almost came to a standstill economically after the then UNIP, they closed all the other political parties and we became a one-party participatory democracy. I actually believe that those people were well equipped to gain our independence, but not so equipped to lead us into the new dispensation. But remember that they stayed on for 27 years. And things were really bad because we were queuing up for everything. I mean, everything. I know that people say that the UPND inherited a very bad economy. The worst economy
was the MMD.
The MMD
yes.
actually inherited a worse economy than what we are currently seeing. And as a result of that, people just got tired. And so the MMD, came and said, guys, we need democracy. And of course we said yes. I remember I left the country then to work in Botswana. Even as a graduate, I had studied economics at the time, and I had done accountancy. I was a fellow chartered accountant. I only had bags, to Fiola to Vivi. That's what I went with to Botswana, because things were so bad. You couldn't own a house, you couldn't accumulate anything. Anyway, having said that, 1991, we got our democracy. We became multi-party again, and things started quite well. Within 6 months of MMD coming in, you saw the difference. You saw the difference between the UNIP government dispensation and the MMD. So MMD again stayed on 20 years it was.
20.
Yeah.
And I didn't believe that those guys can last so long. Because by 96 we wanted them already out.
They did. They lasted that long. And now, the MMD, interestingly enough, did quite well. When Levi Mwanawasa was president, the rate was something like 3.8 kwacha to a dollar. I mean, we were like, yeah, you know, and us in the consultancy world were like, very good. What happened is that although the government itself had the right sort of figures, indicators, economic indicators, the indicators were excellent. You know, you couldn't fault them. They were doing very well, but Zambians still said, you know, you're not really helping us. I've thought about it a lot, and I'll come back to that point a bit later on. And so when Rupiah Banda came in, may his soul rest in peace, people just said, no, enough of you, MMD, and changed to the PF. Now, the PF is something that even the younger people have, you know, have seen. And a lot happened in the PF days. I think we overborrowed and sort of strangled the economy. We strangled the economy, got ourselves into a lot of debt. Yes, there was a lot of infrastructure, but apart from the economic issues, there were other social factors that happened during the PF, and people just said, no, we have to change. And we've changed to the UPND, and people were filled with hope. You know, like, wow, okay, so now, finally we have arrived. 18 months later, Zambians are like, oops, what happened? We don't seem to have arrived. We thought we had arrived, but we have not arrived because things haven't changed. In fact, there are some who are saying things are worse than they were before. So now, why did people get rid of the MMD, who economically, one could say they did much better than all the other parties, all the other three parties? Why would people get rid of the MMD? And I've come to the conclusion that there's something that has been missing for Zambians by all these parties, that these parties have not delivered to the Zambians' expectations. Even a lot of Zambians, what is it that we are missing? And I believe it's what we in the New Heritage Party called our heritage. You see, when God created Zambia, he put a lot of wealth in this nation. And when he put a lot of wealth, he said, in Zimbabwe, he put some, in South Africa, and so on and so forth. So, however, the problem that we have is our leaders don't seem to realize that you need to take this wealth and use it for the benefit of your people. So your economic indicators can be as great as you like, you know, even if it's $1 to $1, etc., etc. But as long as you are not benefiting your citizenry, as long as you are not marrying the wealth of Zambians to the Zambians, you can have all the infrastructure you like, but as long as you're leaving your people in poverty, you know, here's your infrastructure up there and your people are down here, Zambians are just going to say, tapali filechitika. So naimwebe ne kariyeni. And as long as we don't have a government that will marry Zambians to their wealth, you see copper going, emeralds going, sujilite going, but in piashia kuisa tashuvuela. And it certainly doesn't directly benefit us, you know, to the extent that it should. And that's why, even though MMD did well, but because they didn't marry directly that wealth to Zambians, Zambians did not feel that benefit trickling down to them.
So after PF, we have the UPND. They've been in government for almost 2 years now.
Yeah.
We've seen they came based on a lot of promises. They've delivered on free education, and on what else?
The CDF.
CDF, yeah. They have delivered. They have done a lot of things. So how do you rate their performance so far? Do you have hope?
I think that, yes, they had a lot of promises. I don't like to talk about the promises because they were making those promises in order to get into government. Now they are in government, they can't deliver. Fine, you know, we did advise when they got into government and said, guys, when you get in there, go take stock and say to the Zambian people that, you know what, and we can't deliver on this, Zambians will buy it. You know, they'll feel more respected when you say, okay, to Alandirat, we are going to buy this table, but once we got in, we found that we can't buy this table. Zambians would have understood, but they didn't do that. They just carried on as though they had not made those promises. But that is their glove to wear. You know, it fits, so let them wear it. They made their bed so they can lie in that one. But let's forget about that for now. I prefer to talk about what decisions they have made. Okay, so if we say that the PF messed up the economy, okay, that's the narrative. No, Twasangile, Takwa Limpia, no, Shanshani, we overborrowed. Okay, that's fine. Let's say the PF left a mess. What decisions have the UPND made from this point going forward that have caused us to be where we are? Because you see, if you had a party and you were the president of this other party and you came in, you would have made certain decisions. So we might have, with you, we might have ended up here, or you would have made even worse decisions and we would have ended up down here. Do you see the point? Mm-hmm. So the cumulative decisions made by any government will result in us ending up where we end up. And so when I look at the decisions that the UPND government have made from this point have caused us to be where we are. And those, I think that a lot of Zambians are sort of perplexed. They are not down, but why are we in the situation that we are? They are not down. You can't say they are down. So why are we in the situation where we are? And for me, I looked at some decisions. You remember that inflation dropped from 20, was it 22, 24?
Yes.
Thereabouts to 9.5. You know, that's drastic. That's a drastic drop. Inflation, you know, I'm sure people, okay, inflation dropped, but what does that mean for me, the common man? Now, the simple definition of inflation is too much money
chasing few goods.
So meaning there's a lot of money in the economy chasing few goods. Then we can say the opposite is also correct. Tefio, la tamuli mpia mo economy, but if you pay fingi. Okay, so now in this particular case, what happened when the UPND came into government is that one of the first things that I seem to recall they said is, we are not going to stop paying suppliers. Okay, we are stopping to pay suppliers. And I thought, okay, until we've done an audit, okay. So they stopped paying suppliers. So if all of you guys were suppliers, Malichta supplier, Matebo, Malichta, and you know government is the biggest off-taker of services and goods, okay? So if government stops making payments, it means that, my goodness, there's no money in the economy.
Oh, yes.
You see what I'm saying? So you, the supplier, and you, the supplier, you've taken your money, bought a table, and sold it to government. So your money has gone, and you are not paid. Okay? So it means you, tetumwe mukushita tomato kuri wa market jen down the road. You understand? Tetumwe mukushita. I went to a barber shop the other day because I kept my hair short. So this guy says, "Namwishwa madam, abantu kalebalesa sana to cut their hair, but now wamuna fe papita 3 months aisa na rasta." because you know it's cheaper to keep rasta than yeah. So it means that the flow of money into the economy was halted. So what could the UPND have done differently? Why not take a group, audit them, pay them, you know, like that? But they halted that whole process. And as far as I'm aware, I'm not too sure that they've done that audit, and therefore that money has not been released. And later, and more recently, so that money did not go into the economy. So Ishivalet complain about that. There's no money in the economy because government was withholding them. And because of that, the inflation just dropped, boom. Because now suddenly there's no money. And they were boasting about this inflation thing. I think they should not have been boasting about it. And more recently, they have increased the statutory reserve ratio by 2.5%. Okay, what does that mean? I know you know what it means, but every commercial bank is required to keep certain amount of money with the bank. It's a certain rate. So it was at 10%. So number at no, week at 10. Number she 12.5% of your capital. So it means that she didn't be a shari with the commercial banks. It's no longer with the commercial, it's with the central bank. The Bank of Zambia will some more money from the banks, meaning ama banks bakwata less money, again reducing the amount of money in the economy, you know. So shachepela ko number 2, and more, and after that, research to increase the monetary policy ratio, meaning interest rate yanina by 0.5%. Again, less money in the economy, but to increase interest rates. So when the UPND say we are going to grow the economy, I think it's by 6, is it?
6%.
Yeah, something like that. I'm wondering, when you are growing the economy, but mulevula ma contractionary measures, ayakuchefia economy. Because if he's a businessman and he wants to really expand his business, he's got to go and borrow from this bank. Now the interest rate, you know, Charlie, it used to be very difficult to borrow money even before. Mm-hmm. And now with higher interest rates, no, it's going to be more difficult to borrow, because how are you going to pay back if you couldn't pay back even in the first place? You see what I mean? Mm-hmm. So for me, it's a contradiction in terms of what they are doing. Yeah, so then they decide, okay, we're going to employ teachers and and
nurses and agricultural
health
workers,
which is fine. You know, it sounds good. But when you think about it, generally, you have income and then you have expenditure on this side, okay? So you are getting money, and this side you are spending. If you can't increase your income this side, how are you going to, why are you increasing your expenditure this side when you don't have extra income? So how are you managing to pay ama teachers and health workers? Meanwhile, but health workers, teachers, they are saying, you are not paying us enough, you know. So they start to complain. And also, in terms of unemployment, you are looking at these two sectors. What about all these other people? What's going to happen to them? Yeah, so those are some of the things.
CDF, we saw government come in, empowerment of CDF. Is it the right way to go?
You know, when they announced that CDF, all of us were quiet and we were like, wow, what a big increase, you know what I'm saying? And quite frankly, it's something that, as a party, we never thought about it. And at first, we were highly impressed. Said, wow, okay, that's one way of decentralizing the, you know, this expenditure of governments. But when you think about it, if all you've ever handled is a 10 kwacha, and then I give you a 10 million, what are you going to do? I would have thought, so CDF, in inverted commas, is a good initiative. However, it needed to be thought through. As New Heritage Party, we were of the view that they didn't think it through, and they were in a hurry to implement it, you know, to impress. What could have been done, in our view, was that it should have been phased, stepped up. Guardrails should have been put in there, because like I said, you see, the way life works, it's incremental. So if you have only handled a 10 kwacha, for you to handle a 10 million kwacha, you need to go through mindset change, some training, etc., until you are able to handle it. So I would give you a 10 kwacha, and then next year, maybe I give you a 50, you know, like that. So the first year should have been used to train, to capacity build those that were going to, no, both sides. Not just the people who were going to administer it, but also the potential people who were going to, beneficiaries. So that wasn't done. And as a result of that, it has hit quite a lot of potholes. There are quite a lot of potholes there.
Before I touch the Democracy Summit, we have few changes every month.
Every month.
What's the position of your party?
We are on record as saying, you know, in business, you need to plan. You need to forward plan. And if the parameters are changing every day, it's extremely difficult to plan. What's the date today? We need to buy fuel.
30th.
Oh, it will be tomorrow. Yeah. You know, even if you did a 3-month average.
So by saying that you're expecting an increase, are we expecting
tomorrow?
Since you say we need to buy.
Have you seen the rate? The rate is running. I don't know where it's running to, but the rate is running.
Yes, exactly.
It is sprinting, because as he said 2 weeks ago, he left it at 19. It's at 21 point something now. You know, 21.4.
24, yes.
And the other surprising part is now you find that the dollar is chasing the pound. The dollar is at 21, the pound is only at 23.
23? Was that
26?
26,
Yes.
23 was the euro.
Yeah. So the difference is kind of closing up.
Madam President, Democracy Summit.
Yeah.
Yes, in the world now, there's a big fight between East and West. For the first time in the history, I think this is the first time where you have seen the US being tested by the East to a level whereby, like, I've attended a conference for Africans and Russians, and that particular day, the Chinese president came in the town, and everybody in that conference from South Africa to Morocco, busy castigating the West, castigating, I don't know where, when they go to another platform, that's the way they behave. But that one was there. You can see that there's a lot of fatigue. What position should we take as Zambia in the global dispensation, political, whatever?
This geopolitical stuff.
Yes.
You know, when you look at the decisions that have been made by our previous presidents, they came up with that term, non-aligned nations. You see, you have superpowers on this side and you have superpowers on this side. And to take a position and say we are going to support, we are going to be with these, whether you say it or not, action speaks louder than words. We can see, oh, this country, well, let's talk about Zambia because we are Zambian. We have visited the US a number of times. We voted against Russia in the Ukraine war. So we've sent messages, whether it's subliminal or intentionally or whatever, to say we are more aligned to the West than we are to the East. We have not visited China, and yet the biggest debt that we hold is with China. But we have not visited China. So that sends a message in its own. So it's like, and then we'll go to the States and say, you know, you need to speak to these guys to help us with the debt. So this is Mr. Banda, this is Mr. Piri. The two of you, you don't get on. Then I borrow from you, but I go to him to say, please talk to him. And that's what we are doing. We need to engage with China. If we owe money to China, let's engage China. It's diplomatic. So now, going back to the issue of aligning ourselves, you see, one of these days, as a nation, we need to come to a position where we come to ourselves. Don't align yourselves with these ones and don't align yourselves with this one. Let's be non-aligned, because when situations arise, sometimes keep them as a friend and keep them as friends. Don't shun these ones, you know, at the expense of these will become your friends. No, it doesn't work like that, that your enemies are my enemies. Why? We need to stay non-aligned, because then we can decide with each issue on an as-needed basis. We can see and say, Appa, I think we'll do this, I think we'll maneuver like that. But as it is, it's very difficult. You know, there was that conference in Moscow where Zambia did not attend. We didn't even send representatives. What are we doing? What are we doing? But we went to the Africa Summit in the States.
The African Leaders Summit.
Yeah.
So There's a lot of things happening now on the global platform where, as earlier indicated, there's a summit going on, Russia-Africa Parliamentarian Summit. There's a summit on democracy being co-hosted here in Zambia. And we see Africa getting back on the center of global attention like it was in history. Maybe we can call it back on the chopping board. What
I think that's a right phrase.
Yeah. What are African leaders doing specifically? Maybe we can narrow it down to Zambia, Africa, to narrowing it down to Zambia. What's your take on that?
Look, when these countries put a spotlight on you, it's not because they love you. They don't love you. It's because of their interests. They are safeguarding their interests. I'm sure you remember last year, I think August, there was this talk about setting up AFRICOM. AFRICOM here in Zambia, and we all questioned it. And they said, oh, we're going to set up this AFRICOM, and we'll train your soldiers, and we'll do this and we'll do that. But when you go and you read up on AFRICOM, you find that their main reason for coming into Africa is to safeguard America's interests, economic interests. So what they want to make sure that the region is safe for them to do business, for them to be able to extract our minerals. You see, so as you've put, I like the way you've put it, putting Africa on the chopping board again, because the first time it was political. But even then, the aim of that political division of Africa was so that they could get to our minerals. But we don't seem to understand that actually we are the ones who should be calling the shots. We are the ones with the resources. What would happen if the whole of Africa withhold our resources?
People will start talking to us.
Exactly. So, but we bend over backwards like Air India to give away our wealth. You know what I mean? We just give away our wealth. When they say, oh, can we have that? Yes. Whatever they want to. And we always give ourselves a raw deal. Always give. I explain to, I give this example. When you buy a very expensive watch.
Sorry, Madam President, we have the first caller, although we haven't opened the line, but we can take it. Your name and where you're calling from? Hello, your name and where you're calling from? I'd like to take this opportunity to say we have opened the phone lines. Those that are feeling shy, you can send your text messages on the numbers appearing on the screen. We'll be able to read them out. Please call us, say your name and where you're calling from, and participate.
You can conclude.
I was explaining about our wealth. That wealth that's underground. We've got billions worth of dollars down there, billions worth of dollars. So now, I give this example. You buy a Rolex watch, those very expensive Rolex watch. So you buy one $100,000. I don't even know how much they are, but as an example. So as you are walking along, let's say he's the one who buys that watch, and he's feeling very good about it, And then as he's walking, it falls into a crack, and because he's a bit bulky, he can't get it. Who's the owner of that watch? It's him, isn't it? It's still him. He bought it. The fact that he has dropped it underground doesn't mean it's not his. So as you come, because you're a bit not as bulky as he is, he says, young man, can you help me get that watch? then you pull that watch out. You know, you hold it like this. Who's the owner of that watch?
Still his
It's still his. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Now, you see the foolishness of us, the model of mining that we do, that wealth down there is ours. You get the point? So when these guys come to invest, they say, okay, can you give us a mining license? In relative terms, it doesn't cost much, okay? So we give them a mining license for copper, for example. And then we give them everything that is down there. That's our policy, mining policy. You give them everything, and you know that down there they find silver, they find gold, they find copper, they find emeralds. Do you see what I mean? They don't even bother to...
We have a caller. Yes, your name and where are you calling from? Atwanani?
Something banda.
Yes, we'll try to see if we can get you. You can go ahead. Maybe try to speak in your phone.
Okay.
Yeah. So that wealth down there is ours, but we give it away because you now have a mining license. You literally give it away. The model of mining that we are practicing is detrimental to this nation because that wealth down there is ours. So if you go to Nkana, Chief Nkana's area, this is Chief Nkana's area. Down there, here are some of the poorest people in Zambia. Down there, some of the greatest wealth in the world. So they take out those emeralds and these people don't get anything. And that's why governments get kicked out, because they are not marrying this wealth to these people, the real owners.
Is it lack of corporate social responsibility?
We've got a caller. Your name? Yes, your name and where are you calling from?
No.
Hello? We seem to have come to Zambia where nothing works. Director, do you have any messages as you are trying to fix the phone lines?
Okay.
Yeah.
So there are these issues of 9 alignment that you've brought out earlier, and usually the question that would come up is, of course, there's the Eastern Bloc, the Western Bloc, and both of these sides are all doing things in Africa. The Chinese are investing heavily in Africa. The West is giving aid to Africa. Now, the point where one state aligns, let's say, for example, to China, is China able to cover the gap that will be left by the aid that has been extended to Africa by the Western world? And if China pulls out its investment, will we survive?
China, do you know that America owes China quite a lot of debt? You know, so China is very well resourced. In fact, that nation is very well resourced. Look, if China pulls out, America will not dump you, so to speak, because you've got resources that they need. Okay, so they will not dump you. The Americans, I'm sure, are watching, and they can see. Again, they are not down. They can see that they are sort of losing a battle here, because Africans have said, look, when I look outside, I see that building was built by the Chinese, that road was built. Do you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And I'm sure they're going to take all of that into account going forward, and they'll begin to do things differently, because they can see that Africans are more leaning towards China than they are towards them, by and large, except us, of course.
And what are they calling it now? BRICS aligned nation?
Yes, the BRICS aligned nations, and all those people, all those nations that are queuing up to join BRICS. And also, this new phenomena of nations now being able to trade in currencies that are not dollars, that is going to have an effect on these relationships that we are talking about. What I omitted to say is that when two giants are fighting, don't take sides. Don't take sides. Just stand and watch them fight. Don't take sides. It's not wisdom.
Our biggest economy under SADC, South Africa, has come out bluntly and says they're aligned. Basically, they're part of BRICS.
Yeah.
What does that mean for Southern Africa, for SADC to be specific?
I don't think that we should be following.
Let's try this one. Maybe we'll be lucky. Yes, your name and where you're calling from?
Hello?
Hello?
That's better.
Good evening, Kwame. Good evening, Mr. Rotoman.
Good evening.
Thank you so much. I'm Joseph calling from Soweto.
Yes, Joseph.
I've been following this program so closely. But I would like the president to maybe explain more. What can we do as Africa not really to depend on the West? Because all the time we should be talking about us having raw deals. What can we do, or what measures can we put so that all the time we don't get ripped off? Thank you so much.
Should I?
Yes.
Yes, you can go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that question. I think that you are asking because you are a Zambian and you care and you want to see what difference we can make. One of the things that African countries need to do is we need to speak to each other and trade with each other more than has been the case. You know that sometimes when you want to travel from Africa, you go to France and then come back to Africa. What is that? We have the African Union, we have SADC, we have COMESA. We need to discuss these issues. And one of the things that you need to understand is that's why these countries, they kill people like Kwame Nkrumah, Gaddafi, because they're advocating for us to a Pan-Africanist view. It's difficult, yes, as a nation to rebel, but if we pulled our ranks together, it's actually possible for us to become more independent than, you see, as when we are divided as we are now, it's very easy to bully us. But when we pull ranks, we close ranks, then it will be more difficult. But what I am seeing now is there are more and more people, Africans, who are waking up and saying, hey, wait a minute, why should I send you, you take your cocoa, Ghana takes its cocoa and sends it to Switzerland, or Zambia takes its copper and sells it on the London Metal Exchange instead of selling it directly to China. We've got to find an alternative way of doing things. If we continue to do what has always been done, we'll always get the same results. It's a resolve, it's political will. You see somebody like Magufuli, again, somebody who was thinking outside of the box, he doesn't survive. We have to produce enough people like that so that even if they come and they get me, somebody else will step into that role and say, we're going to carry on with this, with this journey that we have started. It's a political will, it's a decision that we must take. We can't have people coming to exploit us in our own nation with our own resources And we are looking at them and, we are accepting that. It's totally unacceptable. Surely we have a backbone.
Director, let's see if we have any messages. Okay.
So, I would actually like to take this opportunity to ask, you come from a background, a corporate background, the banking sector, you've been in the banking sector, and at the moment, we really don't have any Zambian bank, Zambian indigenous bank. We had Cavmont. I don't really know what's happening with Invest Trust. What's your take on that? What are the implications?
It just means like that. One of the things that I always say, foreign-owned anything means it's owned by some people decided to invest. Investors come to invest, make a return on the money they have put in, and they take it out. That's the way, the model in which it's being done. So investors come, they make their money, and they take their money out. It doesn't stay here. You're not their cousin. They've come to make money. So not having indigenous banks means that whatever profits that are made are taken out. Now, also, it's very difficult to get loans from these institutions, as you know, for Zambians. And the biggest problem that our Zambian people have is access to finance. They can't access finance. I mean, it takes a longer time to build up slowly a business than if you borrow and you actually start to. And our CEEC is not that effective, as you know. Citizens Economic Empowerment Commission.
I'm looking at Heritage Party, New Heritage Party. What plans do you have for the Republic of Zambia going towards 2026? I'm sure Zambia is a bit dynamic. You are a party because you want to form government.
Yeah.
So what do you intend to do?
Before we form government, so what we did is we asked ourselves two questions. How do we get in? That's the political side. And then what do we do when we get in? That's the technical side, which is something we've been working on. It's a continuous process to say, so you have technical teams and to say, in education, what are we going to do? In this, what are we going to do? But one of the things that I would like to point out, maybe I shouldn't say this on TV because you know how it is in politics. You share something, the next thing everybody's doing the same thing. So I'll leave that one out. But we don't intend to get into government and wait for 2 months before announcing a cabinet, for example. We want to hit the ground running. So we have made plans of what we want to do when we get into government. We want to get into government and say who we are going to work with. I don't think we'll promise you a wow cabinet and then give you a cabinet. You know what I'm saying? So we want to be very prepared for 2026.
As we conclude, maybe before we conclude, what are your expectations? I want to now go back to the Democracy Summit. The summit, I think, I just received a text that Kamara she's in Tanzania. She's coming tomorrow, I think so. First of all, are you attending? Two, what are your expectations from this summit? What should government do? What should they say? What shouldn't they say? What should they clarify?
No, I'm not attending. we issued a statement to say that we feel that yes, it's definitely going to go ahead, and it will, whether we attend or not, that's beside the point. But we are not attending because we feel that the government or our government is window dressing. This is more of a window dressing exercise to show the international community that we are actually democratic. I think that the Minister of Home Affairs, I think it's still called that, Tefia.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Homeland Security or something.
Or something like that. He issued a very strong warning to people and say, if you demonstrate, you are going to see, you know, like, and if you demonstrate, you are a saboteur, etc., etc. I think that is undemocratic. I mean, look, I'm not aware. Okay, I've seen a letter where some people have said they'll be demonstrating in Ndola, but I wasn't aware at the time he issued that threat about anybody intending to demonstrate. But demonstration is a right, okay, of association, of people expressing themselves. So why are you issuing these threats? But then we've also seen opposition leaders kicked out of town, stopped from going to markets. We've seen a lot of anti-democratic behavior by this government. So they are not walking the talk. You know, they are talking, yes, they say the right things all the time, but they don't do what they preach. The other thing that we expect to come out of the Vice President, Kamala Harris, very sure that she's going to talk about, oh, human rights, LGBT rights are human rights. We expect that. We've heard the president, the president has actually said in Zambia it's against the law, etc., etc. But when confronted, I'm very sure you watched the video in Ghana,
yes,
and how their president Babaika
all the same to come to me, but it's parliament, no.
But so we pray that our president has prepared his response, because it's one thing for me to say to you, I don't do this, and it's another thing when I'm confronted by somebody who might give me money. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, it's another thing, you know, especially if you are aligned to America and then America says, you know, for us, this will not change. You know, the woman was like, yeah, we support these human rights and it's not going to change. Are you also going to say it's not going to change, or to come on, we wait to see what happens?
So before Doc closes the show, you've been on a number of programs on diversification of the economy. First, the economic diversification of the Copper Belt, then subsequent the economic diversification of Zambia at large. Are we on the right course? How has it been since that time you were in that capacity to now? Are we on the right track? What's being done wrong, and what can be done for us to diversify our economy?
I actually don't understand what our problem is. This diversification of the economy is something that we learnt about in primary school. You know, we need to diversify, etc., etc. But we don't seem to have a roadmap towards that diversification. There's no roadmap. You know, papers and papers have been produced, but we don't follow
We
them.
normally talk about it only when the copper prices have gone down.
Have gone down,
And now
yes.
they're actually going up, I think at 9,000.
Yes, they're going up. Therefore, we forget about everything else because the copper prices are going up. So what Doc is saying is the only time we talk about diversifying is when the copper prices go down to $3,000 and then it's, we need to diversify them. No, we need to, You see, God gave us the copper, the wasting asset, so we can use that as a springboard into other things. We should use the money we are making from the copper to grow all these sectors of the economy. We have no business being poor as a country. Absolutely no business. Even this foreign exchange, CHISHALA nayo, this rate, it's not going to come down by itself. No, it's not. Some intervention has to be made for it to come down. And what is it that brings foreign exchange down? It's because we are importing or using more dollars than we are making. Now, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. Why? Because we make dollars in the mining sector. We make a lot of dollars in the mining sector. Why don't we bring some of those dollars back? So we need to think outside of the box. To allow. You know, we're going to suffocate.
As we conclude, I've been thinking, it seems, you know, like maybe 2 months ago, I posted an advert of MMJ, which was saying every day our people are suffering of poverty and injustice, corruption, and 1 million rights. These things have been there all the time. I say, you know what, it becomes so boring to witness Zambia, because it's more like we are going through the same thing. So as we conclude, how different is Heritage, New Heritage Party going to be when you form government in 2026? And are you going to invite me for an inauguration?
You'll definitely be invited for the inauguration. You know, here's what I've discovered since I joined politics. Like now you have 20 Katwishuko active political parties, and you have 4 types of people that want to lead. The first type are those who say, if Habazoka can be president, I can also be president. The second type are the ones who say, you know, I've achieved so much in my life. You know, it's no longer a challenge. Kuba president. Okay? The third type are saying, I also just want to make a name for myself. I also want to make money for myself. Okay? And the fourth type are the ones who say, actually there are 5 types. The fourth type are the ones who say, you know what? Those people messed me up, so I want to become president so that I can sort them out. Okay? And the fifth type, I hope that we fall into that category, are the ones who say, guys, surely we can make a difference. Surely we can change this nation. And as New Heritage Party, we are looking for those Zambians that are of the same mind to say, surely we can make a difference. I keep saying to the people we're working with, what would happen to Zambia, just 5 years, if we made the right decisions as far as possible?
Madam President, let's just before we, I know I said in conclusion, but let's just read 1 or 2 messages so that our viewers don't kill us next week. IMF gave Ukraine 15.5 billion to a war-torn country which has so many risks in defaulting, but it has taken years for IMF to give us 1.3 billion. Then our leader wants to align us with the West. Shame on us, MB from Lusaka. Good evening, Madam President. What's your comment on the pace the UPND government is moving at in terms of resolving KCM and Mopani issue? Kindly comment also on the mining tax holidays given to foreign investors. Moto from Mpatamato, Kurwansha. Madam KATEKA, good evening. I'm following your program very well. But my concerns are that the problem is Zambian. We are not patriotic to support each other, and yet we have been failing to even run chicken runs. Good evening, panelists. Well-articulated issues. Africa will only be developed by Africans. Others come, root out our resources, and leave us underdeveloped. DK from Kitwe. Madam President, who has spoken about the current political position, truly we should not demonize China, which has been an all-weather friend, especially to most poor countries like Zambia. Please, politicians, wake up from the mental slavery. From Chomba, Lusaka. Thank you very much. America is a bully. Every country where America has stepped in is in trouble. So advise the Zambian people to be careful with the current regime. It has brought shame and embarrassment to the nation.
Wow, okay. There's only one person that asked me to make a comment.
Yes.
on the KCM.
Yes.
I think that I would like to call it irresponsible to not deal with that issue, because it is such an asset for this country and is capable of generating quite a lot of foreign exchange and creating employment for our people. So this, dealing with it very, very slowly, I don't know why, I would like to call it irresponsible. The tax holidays. I explained before that what we get out of the mines is not enough. And then you come and you even reduce the tax further. What are you doing? What are you doing? You reduce, and that's why people were complaining, the ones who do betting, and say, you've even increased our tax.
Bora bet.
Hey, Bora bet, you know what I'm saying. So why, I'll say this to you, and I'll say this on TV. Politics is a very expensive game. Just to do politics is extremely expensive. And therefore, people go and ask for money, And so some people will help you to run your campaign. When you run that campaign, when you win, there is a payback time. So you'll give us that mine, or you reduce the tax, or you do. And this is what we are seeing now. I think, and we keep saying as New Heritage Party, the party that funds its campaign from Zambia is the party that will liberate this nation, because you are not going to be owing anybody any favors, and that's why Zambians, we need to wake up and begin to find the right parties. Yeah.
Madam President, it was a pleasure. We are running out of time. Tomorrow is a very busy day. It's a Friday.
Yeah.
It's a Friday, and thank you very much for coming. We hope that next time when you come, the network is going to be better. But I think when I was coming here, I was calling somebody, the network was equally bad. Yeah, so we hope that it has nothing to do with stopping us from speaking before her ladyship arrives. That was a joke to those that might take this as, as a bad thing. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, you are watching Economic Briefcase on Cabinet TV. Today we are discussing democracy and economic development. Me, your host, Luvinda Bazoka, with my co-host, Anoa Njapao. We are hosting, I don't know if the English is correct, to Akwila Kopa Beltif. We are hosting New Heritage Party President, Madam CHISHALA KATEKA. We hope to bring her back, to come and analyze the Democracy Summit. And also other things that, today we have omitted. Continue watching Cabinet TV, because Cabinet TV is not just another channel. See you next week live on Camnet TV. Thank you very much.